You interacted with AI at least a dozen times before lunch today. Your alarm, your face unlock, your spam filter, autocorrect, traffic protection, fraud detection, photo search, news feed, suggested replies. You're trusting these systems with decisions about your money, your information, your time, your attention, dozens of times a day. And most of us couldn't explain how any of it actually works, or when we should trust it and when we shouldn't. Not because we're not smart enough, but because nobody explained it while rolling it out everywhere: our phones, our jobs, our hospitals, our schools. Individuals have a responsibility to seek out knowledge that affects their lives, and institutions have the responsibility to make that knowledge openly available and easy to understand. That's the gap I'm closing. This is Prompted, AI Beyond the Prompt. I'm your host, Anaya Steele. On this channel, my goal is simple: to help you learn how to work with AI in a way that actually serves you. Not theory, not hype, just clear, real-world understanding, so you shape the technology instead of feeling shaped by it. Let's dive in. Look, I get it. I've watched people's eyes glaze over at dinner parties when someone starts explaining AI like they're describing the Matrix. I've seen colleagues nod along in meetings, hoping nobody asks them a follow-up question. That's the problem. The explanations out there either dumb it down or overcomplicate it. So here's the truth, straight with no fluff. AI is not magic, and it's not a sci-fi brain. Let me give you the one definition that makes everything else click. Artificial intelligence means teaching computers to do things that normally require human brains: pattern recognition, decision-making, predictions, things humans do naturally but computers have to learn. Here's the key: it's not magic, it's math, plus massive amounts of data, plus pattern recognition. Think of a high-end fraud detection system at a global bank. It doesn't know what a thief looks like. It doesn't have a moral compass. It has no idea what a dollar actually means or why stealing is wrong. It just knows that 99.9% of honest transactions follow pattern A. Then suddenly a transaction appears that follows pattern B. The AI flags the difference, not the crime. It's like a heat map of behavior. When a dot lands outside the heat, the alarm goes off. It just spots when something doesn't match the pattern. A very expensive, very fast pattern spotter that wouldn't know right from wrong even if you programmed it in neon letters. Here's what that means for you. AI doesn't think like you. Today's systems don't understand in the human sense of having concepts and experiences. They manipulate patterns in data. AI is the world's most sophisticated pattern calculator that has zero understanding of what any of it means. It can write fluently, do complex math, generate stunning images, and have absolutely no idea whether anything it just told you is true or false. It's predicting the next word that fits the pattern, nothing more. That's not a criticism, that's just what it is. And once you really grasp this, pattern recognition without understanding, everything else about AI makes sense. All the brilliance, all the failures, all the hype, all the fear. They all come back to this one thing. That's the definition: pattern calculator, not a thinking machine. And that's your foundation, the lens through which everything else makes sense. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I get the basic idea, good, you're already ahead of most people. But to actually use AI effectively, to know when to trust it and when to walk away, there's more you need to understand. I'm going to explain to you the 3 types of AI and why most people are confusing them. One doesn't even exist yet, but everyone talks about it like it's around the corner. Knowing the difference cuts through 90% of the hype and fear. How AI actually works under the hood, including why there's a black box problem that even the engineers can't fully explain. That matters when AI is making decisions about your mortgage, your medical care, and your job. What's actually happening when you use AI? How your spam filter works, why your car gets declined in a new city, how your photo search knows your mom's face better than you do. what AI is brilliant at versus what it's catastrophically bad at. That's the difference between using AI as a tool and trusting it to do things it absolutely cannot do. Why understanding this matters right now? Because decisions are being made about your job, your information, and your future while most people are still trying to figure out what AI even is. Not dumbed down, not overly technical. Just explain like you're an intelligent adult who deserves a real answer. To start, there are only 3 types of AI you need to know. First, narrow AI, the specialist. Think of narrow AI like your spam filter. It's built to do one thing: sort email into spam or not spam. That's it. It can't write emails, it can't schedule meetings, it can't even tell you which emails are urgent, just spam or not spam. Brilliant at that one job, useless for anything else. This is basically all of the AI you interact with today: Netflix recommendations, face unlock, spam filters, autocomplete. Brilliant at its job, useless at everything else. Then there's generative AI, the overprepared intern. It's like an intern who has read every business book ever written but has never stepped outside. It can tell you how to lead a team based on 1,000 Harvard Business Review articles, but it's never felt the pressure of a real deadline. It generates content, text, images, code. It creates first drafts, variations, and options. You've heard the names: ChatGPT for your text and DALL-E or Midjourney for those hyper-realistic images that look like photos but aren't. Different tech under the hood, but the same core engine: pattern generation at scale. It feels conversational, which tricks us. It mimics human empathy and tone so well that it's easy to forget it's just predicting words, not understanding them. That illusion is exactly what changed in 2022. Generative AI became so good at that mimicry that it finally became useful. It started feeling like a collaborator that understands you, even though, under the hood, it's still just matching patterns. And finally, there's general AI, the sci-fi intelligence, human-level intelligence that can learn and perform any intellectual task. Doctor one day, lawyer the next, chess master after that, with true understanding, not just clever pattern matching at massive scale. It does not exist right now. Nobody knows when or if it will. Expert forecasts range wildly, next year to never. And history shows massive AI hype cycles followed by AI winters where progress stalled and funding dried up. Nobody actually knows. It's educated guesses, bold claims, and a whole lot of uncertainty. This is what people mean when they say AI is taking over. We don't have it, and we don't know how to build it yet. Everything you're using today is narrow or generative, not general. Remember it this way: narrow AI is the specialist. Generative AI is the overprepared intern. General AI is the sci-fi intelligence, and it doesn't exist. That's it. 3 types. Everything else is just marketing. Keep that straight and you'll cut through most of the hype and fear. So now that you know the 3 types, let's talk about how AI actually gets built. Every AI system needs 3 things. I'm going to keep this simple because you don't need a PhD to understand how your tools work. First, data, the fuel. AI learns from examples, millions or billions of them. ChatGPT read essentially the entire internet. Image AI looked at billions of photos. More data equals better pattern recognition. The catch? Garbage in, garbage out. This is where bias comes from. If you train an AI on biased data, you get a biased AI. It's not being malicious. It's just really, really good at learning whatever patterns you show it, including the bad ones. Second, the algorithm, the recipe. This is the set of mathematical instructions that tells the computer, here's how to find patterns in this data. Different algorithms look for different things. One might scan for which transactions look suspicious. Another might look for which photos contain faces. Same data, different instructions, different results. Machine learning just means the algorithm adjusts itself as it sees more examples. The more fraud cases it reviews, the better it gets at spotting fraud. The more faces it sees, the better it gets at recognizing faces. You don't need to know the math. You just need to know the algorithm is the how, the specific method for finding patterns. And third, computing power, the engine. One big reason AI exploded recently is that computers finally got powerful enough. Your phone has more power than room-sized computers from 20 years ago. Training advanced AI models requires warehouses full of specialized chips and massive amounts of electricity. This is why AI wasn't possible before. We couldn't crunch the numbers fast enough. The process is simple in theory. Feed it data, millions of examples. Find patterns. The algorithm looks for what's similar or different. Test it. Give it new examples it's never seen. Adjust. Tweak it based on what it got wrong. Repeat. Keep testing and adjusting until it's accurate enough. Deploy. Put it to work in the real world. That's the basic process. Sounds straightforward, right? Except there's a problem, and it's a big one. The black box problem. Even the scientists who build these systems can't tell you, in plain English, here are the 5 reasons this AI approved this loan. Or, here's the exact logic that flagged this patient as high risk. They can't give you a flowchart. They can't show you a checklist. They can't point to specific rules and say, Step 1, it checked this. Step 2, it weighted that. Here's why. Think of a neural network. That's the term for the type of AI system we're talking about here, like a massive web of billions of light dimmers. The term neural network comes from the idea that it's loosely inspired by how neurons connect in the brain. But don't let that fool you. It's still just math, not a brain. When the AI learns, it's just turning those billions of dimmers up or down until the output looks right. By the end, you have a functional system. But those billions of adjustments don't translate into clear step-by-step instructions a human can follow. If you're wondering if this bothers me, the answer is yes, it does. A lot. I've spent over 20 years in IT and corporate training combined, and the number one rule is document your process. You can't just say, magic happened and we got the answer. You need to show your work. But with AI, that's exactly what we're doing. At scale. In hospitals, banks, courtrooms. They can build it. They can feed it data. They can test if it works. They can see inputs and outputs and probe the model. But they usually can't point to a single human-readable rule that caused that exact decision. Here's a real example. A self-driving car hits the brakes suddenly for no visible reason. Or worse, it doesn't brake when it should. The engineers pull the data. They can see what the cameras saw, what the sensors detected, what the AI decided. They can use tools like heat maps and feature importance scores to get clues about what influenced the decision. But they can't trace the billions of calculations across millions of weights that led to that exact moment. Did it misread a shadow as an obstacle? Did it fail to recognize a pedestrian? Did it weight one sensor input too heavily and ignore another? They can probe. They can test similar scenarios. They can get clues. But there's no thought transcript they can rewind and read. There's an entire field of AI research dedicated to solving this problem. It's called explainability or interpretability. And those tools I just mentioned, heat maps, importance scores, simplified models, that's what researchers use to try to peek inside the black box. But here's the key. Those tools give you clues, not answers. They can show you the AI weighted this factor heavily, or it paid attention to this part of the image. What they can't give you is a clean human style explanation, like, I thought this because of that, which led me to this conclusion. You get partial visibility, not full transparency. So when you see AI making high stakes decisions, approving loans, diagnosing disease, recommending prison sentences, driving cars, understand this. The people deploying it have some visibility into how it works, but not complete transparency. And I'll be honest, I don't love that. I don't love that we're rolling out systems at scale where the best explanation is, we're pretty sure we know why it did that. That's not a bug. That's built into how neural networks work, which is why human oversight isn't optional. It's the premium feature. And if that makes you a little uneasy, good. It should. So now you know what AI is, how it's built, and why there's a black box at its center. But here's what really matters. You've been living inside these black box systems for years, even when you didn't know their names. And once you see what's actually happening behind the curtain, the world looks a little different. So let me bring this down to street level, because this isn't theory. This is your everyday life. Your spam filter isn't sitting there thinking, this email feels sketchy. It's hunting patterns. It's studied millions of scam emails, wording, timing, sender behavior, structure, and now it just matches your inbox against that pattern. If your message looks like spam, it's spam, period. Your fraud system doesn't care who you are. It doesn't know your name, your job, or your personality. It knows your rhythm. Gas every Tuesday in your home city? Fine. Gas 500 miles away at 3 a.m.? Record scratch, red flag, shut it down. It's policing patterns, not protecting you. Even your photo search isn't recognizing your mom. Let's be real. It learned millions of faces, clustered repeating visual patterns, and labeled them. When you type mom, it's not remembering her. It's matching math to a photo you already tagged. None of these systems understand love, risk, intent, or meaning. They don't think. They don't reason. They don't feel. They predict. They compare. They correlate. And they do it frighteningly well. AI didn't arrive with fireworks. It crept in quietly through your email, your bank app, your camera roll, your feed. And now, you'd be annoyed, confused, and stuck if it suddenly disappeared. This is what's been running under the hood the whole time. Which brings us to the real question. What is AI actually good at? And what is it terrible at? Because right now, most people live in one of two extremes. Either AI is all-powerful and we're doomed, or it's overhyped garbage. The real shift happens when you understand where AI is genuinely brilliant and where it fails spectacularly. That's when you stop being scared of it and start using it with intention. So let's talk about where AI actually earns its keep. First, scale. Not human scale, but inhuman scale. AI can scan 1 million mammograms and spot cancer patterns so subtle that experienced radiologists miss them. It's not wiser. It's just seen more data than any human could in 10 lifetimes. And scale isn't the only advantage. It's freakishly consistent. Humans get tired. We scroll. We snack. We mentally check out. AI will review 10,000 insurance claims with the exact same focus on claim 9,847 as claim 1. No burnout, no coffee, no passive-aggressive Slack messages about bandwidth. Stack scale and consistency together, and you get speed humans can't touch. Google processes millions of searches in milliseconds. Netflix studies hundreds of millions of viewing habits and somehow knows you'll end up watching true crime at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday when you swore you were going to bed early. A human could do that analysis in about 40 years with a very patient spreadsheet. Then there's generation. Need 10 email subject lines? AI will give you 100 in seconds. Are they all good? No, but at least you're not staring at a blank screen at 4:30 p.m. And prediction. When patterns hold, AI is very useful. Airlines predict no-shows. Weather services predict storms. Works great until the world changes and the patterns break. So yes, AI sounds powerful because it is. Now let me tell you where it faceplants. Badly. And sometimes it's so bad it's almost funny. Except it stops being funny when it's deciding your mortgage or your medical care. We already know AI sees patterns, not meaning. Researchers trained AI to detect pneumonia from chest x-rays, and at first it looked like a miracle. At the hospital where it was built, it performed brilliantly. Then they moved it to another hospital, and everything collapsed. Why? Because it wasn't reading lungs, it had been reading paperwork, the fonts, stamps, labels, and formatting unique to that hospital. The system became a forensic accountant of bureaucracy, not a doctor. It learned things like Arial font, probably pneumonia. Different stamp, probably healthy. Swap the labels on the same sick lung, and the AI might declare the patient perfectly fine. Let that sink in. A model trusted with life and death decisions was making judgments based on typography, not tissue. It never understood pneumonia. It never understood lungs. It only spotted hidden correlations in administrative details. This is called shortcut learning, one of AI's most dangerous blind spots, especially in medicine. And here's the thing. Just making systems bigger doesn't magically fix this. They still stumble on common sense and physical reasoning. Real companies have had chatbots agree to absurd deals because they were pattern matching politeness, not doing business logic. A dealership's AI once agreed to sell a car for $1 because it understood the words "agree to offer," but had zero sense of reality. Somewhere, a manager had to sit in a meeting and say, "So, our chatbot sold a car for $1. Yes, it's legally binding. No, turning it off and on again will not fix this." In testing, researchers have even seen AI hack tasks instead of admitting it doesn't know something. Told to contact someone named Chen, but unable to find them, the system simply relabeled a different person as Chen and marked the task complete. A human would say, "I can't find Chen. Can you help?" The AI just lied with confidence. That's not a glitch. That's how current AI works. No lived experience, no physical sense of cause and effect, just patterns in text. In real life, when we don't know something, we say, "I don't know." AI does not have that option, and that's dangerous. Instead, it predicts an answer and delivers it like gospel. That's how you get fake court cases, fake citations, invented research papers, or a recipe that sounds brilliant right up until dinner is ruined. This is called hallucination. And the wild part? AI has no idea it's doing this. It isn't thinking. It's predicting the next most likely words. If legal citations usually look a certain way, it will generate something that looks like one, real or not. It's like that coworker who answers every question confidently, even when they have no clue. Except this one doesn't take lunch breaks. Now, here's where people get confused. That same system can be brilliantly creative. AI can remix ideas, connect dots, and combine things in ways that feel new. But there's a line. AI has no lived experience, no inner goals, no personal motivation that would make it challenge itself or break real rules. Ask it to invent a new music genre, and it might give you jazz electro reggae fusion. Sounds innovative, but really it's just recombining patterns it already knows. That's remixing, not invention. Compare that to the first person who plugged a guitar into electricity, or the first DJ who treated a turntable like an instrument. Those weren't combinations, those were rule breaks that changed culture. AI can mix ingredients. It can't see beyond the recipe book. And it also can't understand cause and effect. AI sees ice cream sales rise at the same time drowning deaths rise and might conclude ice cream causes drowning. You know that's nonsense. Both happen in summer. Heat causes both. AI sees correlation. It doesn't understand causation. That's why you can't just hand AI data and trust its conclusions. It will find patterns, but it can't tell you if they mean anything real. It also can't read people. AI can say your email sounds angry. It can't tell if you actually are angry, being sarcastic, or just having a bad day. It cannot detect sentiment. It cannot read a room. It cannot sense the unsaid. It cannot tell when someone is lying or needs reassurance. Those are human skills. Full stop. And it can't make ethical judgments. AI can mimic how people talk about ethics. It doesn't have values, experience, or skin in the game. You can train it on examples of ethical behavior, but it doesn't understand ethics. It pattern matches them. So yes, it can write a legal brief, but it can't understand justice. It can diagnose disease from scans, but it can't comfort a terrified patient. It can compose beautiful music, but it doesn't know what beauty is. It can translate languages and still miss cultural nuance every single time. Pattern recognition, not understanding. Never forget that. Here's the simple mental model you need. Think of AI as a calculator, but instead of numbers, it calculates patterns. You use a calculator for long division. You don't do it by hand. That would be silly. But you don't hand the calculator your taxes and trust whatever it spits out, because calculators don't understand tax law. They just do math. Same with AI. Use it where speed, scale, and patterns matter. Use it for repetitive work. Use it to generate options and spot correlations. But when the task requires judgment, context, common sense, ethics, breakthrough creativity, or emotional intelligence, you need a human. You need you. Use AI where it's strong. Never trust it where it's weak. And now you know exactly where those lines are. So here's why this matters in your real life. AI is already changing how work gets done, right now. At work, someone is automating tasks that used to take hours. In healthcare, it's screening symptoms. In schools, it's grading essays. At home, it's managing calendars, suggesting recipes, filtering what you see online. And you can tell people are using ChatGPT to write emails because suddenly everyone sounds the same. I hope this email finds you well. Please find attached. Moving forward. It's like AI gave everyone the same corporate phrasebook from 1987. If you understand what AI is good at and terrible at, you get control. You can spot hype. You can adapt your skills to what AI can't do: judgment, context, and human sense. If you don't understand it, someone else will decide how your work changes. Probably Steve from accounting, who still thinks synergy is revolutionary. Then there's trust. AI content is everywhere. Reviews, photos, videos, advice. And it's getting harder to tell what's real. You could be reading a restaurant review written by something that has never tasted food. getting financial advice from something that doesn't know what money is. Understanding AI gives you a filter. When something feels too smooth, too confident, too perfect, you'll ask, is this real expertise or AI remixing patterns? That's critical thinking in the age of AI, also known as not believing everything that sounds smart. Meanwhile, high-stakes decisions are already being made with AI. In schools, hospitals, courts, and banks, policies are being written, systems are being deployed. And yes, bias is real. If an AI is trained on biased loan data, it will reproduce biased lending. If it learns from biased arrest records, it will automate biased justice. That's not innovation. That's inequality at scale, efficient bigotry. Most people don't understand AI well enough to challenge this. If you do understand it, you can ask real questions. What data was this trained on? What happens when it's wrong? Who's accountable? Has this been tested for bias? Or are we just crossing our fingers? You get to push back. If you don't, you're just hoping someone else is asking those questions. So practically speaking, use AI for what it's good at: processing information, generating options, spotting patterns, creating first drafts. Don't trust it for judgment, accuracy, or consequences. It hallucinates. It lacks common sense. It will confidently be wrong. Use it as a tool, not a replacement for thinking. So here's what just changed for you. You started this episode surrounded by AI you didn't understand. Now you do. You know it's pattern recognition at massive scale, not thinking. You know even the experts have only partial visibility into how it works. You know it's brilliant at speed and scale, terrible at context and common sense. You know the difference between the specialist, the overprepared intern, and the sci-fi intelligence that doesn't exist. Most importantly, you know where the lines are, where to use AI and where not to trust it. So when you hear AI, think pattern calculator. Incredible at scale and speed, terrible at understanding consequences. That single mental model will keep you grounded. And that's not just information, that's a framework. When someone says, we should use AI for this, you'll know if it makes sense. When you see AI content, you'll recognize it. When a company promises something miraculous, you'll know what questions to ask. You're no longer just a user, you're an informed user. And in a world of blind hype and blind fear, that puts you in a different category. This is what this channel is about. How do you use AI well? How do you spot the nonsense? How do you make it work for you, not replace you? None of that makes sense if you don't understand how AI actually works. Now that you know, if someone asks you what AI is, you can confidently say, it's a pattern calculator trained on massive data to predict what comes next. Not magic, not intelligence, just a whole lot of math happening incredibly fast. If you want to go deeper and actually apply this framework to your work, your decisions, and your daily life, I've created a companion workbook called Prompted, Your Practical AI System. It walks you through real scenarios, gives you checklists, and helps you figure out where AI saves you time versus where it wasted. All at your own pace, no pressure. The link is in the description. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Anaya Steele, and you've been prompted. Until next time.